Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is DJ J Rock of the Power Jam DJs. And tonight we're going to have a discussion about uplights. So, the business side, the technical side, we're going to start the conversation tonight. So, if you got any questions about uplights or the technology or the business side of it, feel free to hit up the chat box. And, I'm going to do my best to get to every question that's asked. So I'm gonna hop right into it. Uplighting is one of those things where I get a lot of questions about in my inbox. What uplights to buy? How much should I charge for uplighting? What's the best brand? Is Chave better than American DJ? Is Blizzard or Eternal, or should I buy from China? Should I buy from some other generic lights? And so the short answer is it depends. When you're starting off with uplighting, the first thing you want to look at and your greatest limitation is going to be your budget versus earning potential. And so with that being said, uplights, you can get uplights from anywhere from $50 up to $1,000 each. And anywhere in between that rainbow. All right, so with uplighting, and you also got to look at your market. How much can you charge, and what type of business you have. If you're a DJ getting into uplighting, you got to look at how much are you currently charging your clients to DJ. And so what I see a lot is DJs approach uplighting like they approach DJ gigs. And so, they might not charge for the uplights or might not charge enough. And so, the one thing you don't want to do is spend 500, 1,000, or $5,000 on uplights and set them up for free just for the sake of doing uplighting. And so that's one of the big things right there. And so you want to look at your current service offering and decide if uplighting can help you. And look at your business plan. What does it fit? You know, when deciding on uplighting, one of the main things you want to look at is how long is it going to take me to get a return on my investment? Is it going to take me 1 gig, 5 gigs, 20 gigs? And that's another factor. If you're not making enough per gig at a minimum to pay for one uplight, you're not charging enough for uplights. And so with uplights, there's all different types of models. You got the uplights with RGB bulbs, where you got a red bulb, a green bulb, and a blue bulb. So you look at it, you're going to see red, green, and blue. And that's some of the early ones from Chave and American DJ. And then you got your bulbs that have your uplights that have what they call all of the colors in one diode chip. So for example, with this particular fixture, this is a hex fixture. So with hex, it means it has red, green, blue, amber, white, and UV. So this little guy can be a black light, white light. It's a heavy metal light. And so this light behind me, that's a RGB UV light. I have another type of light here that I'm going to show you. These particular lights, wow, this is brand new in the wrapper. So this particular light is a quad light. So this light has red, green, blue, and amber. Nice solid construction. Has a USB port, so it's not a wireless light, but you can make it wireless with a little USB stick. And so there's all different types of lighting. Make sure I don't drop that. Depending on how much money you want to spend. And so just starting out, I wouldn't necessarily say, hey, go out and spend $500 a light. You know, that could take you a while to get a return on your investment. So if you just want to play around, to see if your market can handle it, you could take $500 and go get you some RGB lights and give that a shot. Still, you don't want to waste your money. And so, and the thing about uplighting, some other factors you need to determine is, are you going to just do static colors? Are you going to get into DMX with a DMX controller, or a DMX with a software, or just do, like I said, the static colors? And if you get into DMX, that means every light has to have a physical cable that connects to them. So if you got 8 lights going around the room, that's 8 lights that you have to get DMX signal to. That's 8 lights that you have to get power to. That's 8 lights that you got to tape down the cables with gaffer's tape. It becomes work. If you get into doing uplighting with a room and you do like 12 lights, it could take almost an hour or more to put the lights in position, run the cables, then come back and tape the cables down. And so that's all things that you want to consider if you're thinking about getting into uplighting. Because as soon as you get into DMX, now you got to buy DMX cables. For those of you who don't know what a DMX cable is, it's just like a speaker cable, like an XLR cable, but it's shielded. And if you're getting into uplighting, you're going to need 10, 15 feet cables, which are going to cost you about $20 each. And so you're looking at one light, one cable. So 8 lights, you need 8 cables. So now you're almost at $200 and some just in cables. And so it's not what they call a cheap venture. And so and with uplighting, starting out with the basic standard uplight, like the one I showed you earlier, like this one, this guy has no wireless capabilities. You got your DMX input, you got your power input, DMX out, power out. So what happens, you take 8 lights like these and you daisy chain them around the room. And when you position the lights, you just don't want to just throw it up against the wall and walk away. You want to try to be artistic with it. And the more you do uplighting, the more it'll become natural to you as it relates to positioning the lights and working with chair molding and some of the other architectural limitations that you could face in a venue. We got a question in the chat box. My homie, DJ Raymond, he asked, what is a good number or amount to begin with, or is it dependent on the venue? Myself personally, DJ Beloved and I, we started out buying 1 or 2 lights at a time because we wasn't sure. So we said, you know what, we're going to get 8 lights. So we started out with 8 standard RGB lights. And for small rooms, that was okay. But we quickly learned that we needed way more than 8 lights to really effectively make the rooms look nice. So Um, I say start with 2, play with them, get familiar with them. From there, you can have your kit of 8 or 12 lights. Um, from depending on the venues you do, small rooms, small banquet halls, 8 or 12 might do it for you. If you get into larger rooms, you could quickly need 40 lights. Yeah, it just really depends on the venue and how much space you want between each light. And so each venue you got to approach like it's a blank canvas. So with your site survey, you walk in, and that's when you determine, how you want to set the lights up, how many you need, what features in the building you want to accent. And so, but starting out, buy 1 or 2 to play with. Um, from there, get you a kit of 8 or 12. I say 8 or 12 is a good starting point to have a uplighting kit. But that's after you figure out what your ROI is. Because buying 8 lights could be really um, expensive, like $500 or $600 for the cheaper lights. To 8 lights could easily be $2,000. I'm gonna take a quick commercial break, then I'll show you some different lights.
Power Jams DJs. We have the talent and expertise to make your event a success. More than just DJs, exciting music and entertainment with lighting enhancements to create elegant atmosphere and lively dance floors. Trust us to use our array of services to create a fun and memorable experience. Corporate and community events, weddings, and private celebrations, Power Jams DJs can bring your ideas to life with ambiance. Call today to learn more.
All right, we're back. This particular light it's a decent light. It's one of my favorites actually. This is battery powered, wireless. This particular model is a hex. It has 4 RGB, amber, white, and UV. And so turn it on, and you can wirelessly make it change colors. This is all DMX. I don't know if you could, how well you could see the color changing on the camera. Let me switch to a different view. Maybe this camera will show it better. So you see the truss is blue, the uplight is blue. Truss turns red, uplight turns red. And this is wireless. So with this particular light, if you're doing a static color, you can get 20 hours of battery time. So technically, you could do a gig Friday night and Saturday night before you have to charge it again. That's if you have a static color. If you use multiple colors, battery time decreases a little, but it's fairly rock solid. So we have these in our kit, and also we have cubes. And the cube lights we have are hex lights as well. I try to get one of those out for you. We have another question from Raymond. Single color versus DMX control. How much difference do you charge the client? Great question. When it comes to uplighting, our client somebody said they lost the sound. if you can hear me, let me know. Hit up the chat box and let me know. Yeah, on my end, I got audio. So, sorry about that. All right, so the question was single color versus DMX controlled. How much difference do you charge to clients? Uh, I can tell you right now, we've never done an event with a single color. Um, our packages, the way they're set up, the client don't have to make that decision. Uh, the way our package is set up, we're coming in. Normally, we're DJing, doing uplighting, and some level of light decor. Meaning, we might be bringing trussing or moving heads or whatever. So the clients don't necessarily see. But as it relates to um, somebody who may not have a full package, um, you want to charge for your time. Because if you're there doing DMX, then you are a lighting designer. And so that got to be incorporated into your price. So of course, coming in, setting all the lights red or setting all the lights blue or what have you, it's going to be a different price. And so, and the most important thing is you know how much you need to make per gig to make a livable wage. So, you don't want to charge $500 or $700 when you know that it costs you $900 to go and set up. And so, but you definitely want to, in your pricing and in your packages, accommodate for being on site to control the lighting. Yep. So the biggest thing with DMX is you got to account for the extra setup time. Because if you're doing a static color, you can set all the lights to one color, plug them in the wall, tape the wires down as neat as you can, and pretty much walk away and come back at the end of the night and pick your lights up. If you're doing DMX, then it's major. you gotta be there to run the lights. Now there are solutions where you can put an app on a client phone, then they could change the light color, the color of the room themselves from their iPhone or Android. That's an option as well, but that could work for some. But for Power Jam DJs, DJ Beloved and I, we prefer to just play that to be that lighting designer that's on staff, that's taking care of everything as it relating to lights. All right, we got any more questions in the chat box? So as it relates to the lighting technology, I found that um, going with, if you got the budget, spending the money one time is better. So it's like really, coming up with your business plan and saying, hey, I know I want to offer uplighting as a service. I know I can make this amount of money per job. Then, I would save up, and go and purchase the necessary lights and accessories. Because you're not only going to need lights, in addition to lights, you're going to need a way to transport your lights. So, for example, this light kit that I have right here, this bag holds 4 lights and all the necessary power and DMX cables. This is a Chave kit. Chave is not sponsoring this video, by the way. No American DJ. So I can speak openly and honestly about my experiences with both companies. And you may notice I have a lot of Chave lights. But it's whatever you like. I look at the technical details and the specs and go from there. So as it relates to the business side of uplighting, I can't reiterate enough that you definitely want to make sure before you buy your first light, you work out the business side of it. Get your contract set up. Determine how much you want to make, how much you need to make to get a return on your investment quickly. And also, you want to make sure you have insurance because that some events, might have children, and I've heard stories where kids are pour lemonade into the top of your uplight. Then you have a $100 or $500 uplight that's that's dead, and if your contract don't cover that, then you're out of $500. So you want to have insurance, and you definitely want to make sure you're contractually covered as well. All right, we got another question in the inbox. What distance from the wall is best to use? That's a good question. And the answer to that is it depends. For example, if you have a flat wall and it shoots straight up, then you could get that light. Let me see if I can grab a light. You could take that light, depending on the light, some lights that have the plugs and connectors on the bottom. Some will have them on the side. So for this particular light, you can take and set it directly against the wall, maybe out an inch, and it'll do good. Or you can use the legs so you can be able to tilt it at an angle just to make sure you get good coverage. So it's one of those situations where there's no right or wrong way, but you definitely want to use your eyes. And as much as possible, the distance that you choose on a wall, you want to do that for every light so your lights can look uniform. So this particular light, you can't set it flat. It has the connectors on the back. So for example, your DMX cables or your USB stick. So this one has to set on the legs, tilted like such. So like I was saying, you definitely want to have it uniform. As far as distance from the wall, with the Freedom Park Hex, you notice this got legs, but it also has a kickstand on the bottom. So that kickstand, you could tilt the light. So for example, if the wall got chair molding, you may have to pull that light out 3 or 4 inches from the wall. But just keeping in mind tripping hazards. If your lights are black and the room got dark floors, they might not see the light. People could trip. So you just want to keep that in mind. There are some walls where you will not be able to uplight. We was in a room, Holiday Inn in College Park. The rooms have like a 7 or 8 inch chair molding. In order to uplight that wall, so this is the edge of the chair molding, the light had to be this far out. So at that point, you had to tilt it, and there's no way to shoot it up the wall. You just shooting a spot of light on the wall. But being about 2 feet out from the wall is an ugly tripping hazard. So you just want to look out for stuff like that, and definitely with your site survey, you're going to be able to, pick up a lot of that. We got another question. What are the different types of apps that control wireless DMX? Luminaire 3, FlareCon, anything else? So, Luminaire 3 is more of a, each vendor kind of have their own app type situation. I know my DMX with the 3.0, I heard they're releasing a mobile app. But my DMX, they charge you add-ons. So you got to do the add-on for MIDI controllers. You do the add-on for the app. So you pay $300 for the base price for the box and the software. Then you got to spend another $200 or $300 for the different plugins. FlareCon are good for controlling from your phone. That's Chavet's. They have built-in profiles for all the Chavet lights, but with the most recent firmware update, you can do a generic DMX fixture. And the thing about the FlareCons, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're limited to maybe 122 DMX channels. I'm not sure, but a lot of the folks that use the FlareCons normally set all the lights on one address, or they might have two sets of addresses that they use. But FlareCons are pretty cool. I like those. On the DMX side, you got Freestyler. I'm not sure if they have a mobile app. Chavet Show Express, they have a mobile app. Quite honestly, I have an Android tablet. I'm gonna pull that up for you. I'm gonna show you guys the mobile app. The mobile app. I'm not gonna go too much into detail on it, but this is one of my favorite tablets. This tablet was like 89 bucks. It's quad core, 32 gigs of RAM. It flies. So while this tablet boot up, we got some more shout out people in the chat box real quick. What's up, DJ Danny T? What's up, DJ McGruff? What's up, Raymond? What's up, DJ Be Quiet? DJ Be Quiet says the difference from the wall and the beam angle of the fixture will determine how much spread of lighting will be on the surface. That will depend on each fixture. So yeah, you're right. Each fixture have a different beam angle, 25 degrees, 30 degrees. So for example, the Chavet beam angles on the Freedom series, plus or minus 5 are like 25 degrees. I have some cubes, they're 30-degree beam angles, plus or minus 5. And all the vendors will give you a plus or minus 5 just for the tolerance that's in the lens itself. All right. So, if I can remember the password. All right. So I'm connecting the tablet to the Wi-Fi, and I want to show you guys a wireless app that controls the lights. All right, this is, hopefully you guys might not be able to see it. A lot of glare. Let me switch to a different camera. All right. That shows it a little better. So with this app, See the trussing behind me just turned green. These micros controls the color of the screen, the uplights, as well as the trussing. That's just how I have it configured. And also, with this particular app, I can control pretty much anything that I have configured inside of my software. So, for example, the moving heads. So I could be in the middle of the dance floor, turn on the moving heads, and control the lights. So, but we'll have another talk to talk more about that. Yep. So the most important thing is before you step out there and buy your uplights, I can't say this enough, is to definitely make sure your business plan is together. Because with that, that's going to determine and help you, keep track on how much you need to charge, any sales specials you need to offer. Make sure you got insurance, in case somebody damaged your light. Or in case you're DJing a wedding and one of the guests accidentally pack up your uplight and take it with them to another state. That's actually happened to a friend of mine. His uplight ended up being 2 states away. So stuff like that happens, especially when you get into the wireless battery power uplights. The risk goes up, because those lights are $400 each, $399.99. You don't want anybody to walk away with it, and so if they do, you need to make sure you're covered. So in your contract, you want to have an addendum or a paragraph in your contract that covers what happens if somebody steals an uplight, what happens if somebody walks away with an uplight. Just make sure you protect yourself, because you do not want that to happen. All right, we got another question. On average, how long does it take to do basic programs for moving heads? See, tonight we're talking about uplights. So I'm gonna do another show for moving heads. It takes hours. That's the short answer. It takes hours to get one or two scenes done. It could take hours. But as a service, Power Jam DJs, we've over the last 3 months, we've been helping DJs all over the country program their lights. And so I could fly out to you, or I could remote to you and program your light shows. Whether you got Chave or My DMX, I can help you out with that. But with programming moving heads, yeah, that's a whole topic by itself. Yeah, as it relates to DMX and uplighting, just remember, do not use speaker cable. Do not use XLR cables that you would use for your powered speakers or your microphones. And I know it could be tempting, but once you get into larger shows and you're in bigger venues, the difference between the microphone cable and the DMX cable is that the DMX cable is shielded. And you got to remember, that DMX is different from audio, where audio, there's an inherent signal to noise ratio that you're going to hear. It's going to be a little buzz, or you're going to hear the air. With lighting, they don't want that. They want that line to be clean, because with DMX, it's ones and zeros. So if you're using XLR cables and any interference getting into that line, that's going to cause your lights to act erratically. So you'll be programming your lights and you'll see them jerking, or the lights to be flickering, or what have you. So that's one thing that you definitely want to make sure you budget for, moving into uplighting. You want to make sure that you cover yourself with the cables. Uh, any more questions in the chat box? Now's the time to ask some questions. I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and I'll be right back. All right, we're back. We got a question. My DMX or Show Express? The answer is personal preference. Do you drive a Honda, or do you drive a Toyota? You prefer a Lexus or a Mercedes? Well, maybe that's not a fair comparison, but um, my DMX. I've been programming on my DMX probably for like three years now. I do all types of fixtures, moving heads, uplights, all that stuff in my DMX. I've been programming in Show Express for like 4 years now, and so I have a in-depth knowledge of both. My only gripe with my DMX is that they charge you for the extra features. That is so bogus to me. They need to just have it be, all right, the software is going to be $300. This $300 give you a license to XYZ. Another problem that I have with my DMX, if you bought my DMX 1.0 and then you wanted to run version 2.0 of the software, you had to throw your 1.0 box out and buy the 2.0 box. And that just rubbed me the wrong way. So now they got my DMX 3.0, and I haven't looked at the box. I haven't purchased that. I don't plan on it. But I heard it's pretty nice. The features in 3.0 are pretty cool. They both have features. They both do the same thing. It's just the interface is different and how you approach it is different. So right now, I'm running Show Express today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be programming in my DMX. I got to build moving head scenes and uplighting scenes for one of my clients who run my DMX. Any more questions? All right. Before we end this thing, I just want to go over the different types of lights again. You have RGB lights, red, green, and blue. There's two main types of those. Some fixtures will have a group of red, a group of blue, and a group of green LEDs. Then you got RGB, where it's all on one die. All right. So then you got RGBA. This fixture is the RGBA fixture. Um, Relatively new. These just came out. This fixture, DMX in and out, can be upgraded to wireless DMX. Has power linking. Has 6 quad LEDs. There's also a RGBW, which is red, green, blue, and white. This fixture is a hex, RGB, amber, white, and UV. Does not have the capability to go wireless, but you do have DMX out and power out, DMX in. But some fixtures like this, you can use wireless DMX dongles. But this light is a hex light. It is by far, I think, my most favorite light that I've ever purchased. This light is just so flexible. I use it as a black light. I use it to light my facade. I got, I think, 4 of these for the facade. On occasion, I've used them as uplights. So it's like a nice little light to have in your toolkit. This is a Chauvet light as well. These retail for $150. This is the Chauvet Slim Par Q6 USB. These retail for about $150. Another hex light. These retail for $3.99. Wireless uplighting or wired? Retro Class Entertainment, what's up, buddy? Wireless or wired? I'm gonna say wireless all day. It's nothing like rolling in a case with 40 wireless uplights and being able to drop all those lights in 20 minutes and have everything be DMX. Wireless all day. If you can afford it. Because to get 15 battery powered wireless uplights, that's going to cost you $5,000 or better. Probably like $5,300 for 15 lights. So you look at $5,000 for 15 lights. And so if you take that 5,000 and say, even if you say you want to make try to cover a light a gig, so you say $300. We charge $300. It's gonna take you 16 gigs. If you buy the battery power uplights, 15 of them for like $5,300, and you charge $300 for uplighting, it's gonna take you 16 gigs to get your return on investments. Not DJ gigs, 16 uplighting gigs. You don't want to mix up the money you're making off your DJ work with, oh, I made $500 and I did uplighting. No, you didn't. So you need to make $300 off uplighting only 16 times your return on investment. And so if you're in a pretty decent market where you could charge, let's say, $750, hold on, 5,000, and you could charge $750. Now it's going to take you about 7 gigs to break even. So it just really depends on your market and what your market can tolerate. And also, you got to look at your competition. Um, that will play a lot in it too. Because I know in my market, we got um, in the DC area a sound company that's throwing in lights for free if you rent their audio. Of course, he's not doing DMX and programming and all that stuff. It's just everything blinking all night. But you definitely want to come up with a marketing strategy to set yourself apart from your competition, and it's really try to charge the most you can while giving the client a great value. So you got to put on your salesman hat or your sales lady hat, and it's really try to get that return on investment. I got a question. Have you discussed pixel mapping, uplighting, IP65 rated, pros and cons? That's more of an advanced topic that I wanted to have tonight. I wanted to do more of by this being the first talk, I wanted to have this be more the introduction to uplighting. And then, we'll get into the IP65 rating, which is waterproof outdoor lighting. That's something that we're working on. Our inside rig, we want to have an IP65 rated outdoor rig where we can have the moving heads outside in the rain working. So that's a whole nother topic. But definitely, if you can afford it, I would go battery powered wireless. Now, this is a question that nobody's asked yet. With battery power uplights, what is the cost of ownership? So, for example, you got a battery power uplight. How much is it going to cost you to replace the battery? Is it field replaceable? Is it a local service center? Or do you need to send it off to be repaired? So, replacement battery for Chavez Freedom Park uplights are retail $169 for a battery. Did you know that the warranty on your battery power uplights are only 6 months? Chavez, for example, I believe they give you a 2-year warranty on the light itself, but a 6-month warranty on the battery. So if you don't take care of your batteries, you're gonna be paying $169 a pop for replacement batteries. So retro class entertainment, that's one of the cons of battery powered wireless. That eventually you're gonna have to replace the battery or buy a new light. So the good thing is if the battery dies, you can always plug it in, and use it as a wireless AC powered light. But yeah, you gotta be prepared to replace them batteries. Yeah, DJ, be quiet. He's getting 26 Chavez pretty soon. Before you place that order, call me. I got a new vendor. I'm getting excellent pricing. Channel lights. I don't recommend the channel lights. If you're gonna do uplighting, you want to be able to get your parts pretty quick. So you want to buy ADJ or Chavez. Now I've played with some of the channel lights before, but yeah, you wanna Eternal Lighting as well. Eternal make good lights, and they're located here in the U.S. I think Texas, if I'm not mistaken. So Eternal, Chavez, ADJ, Blizzard. I don't think I've played with any Blizzard lighting. I don't like the name. I don't like snow, and every time I see a blizzard like, I think of shoveling snow. DJ Mathis, what's up, brother? Are those the ones you're sending me? Any light in my inventory is yours, brother. Just say the word. We'll load the trailer up, load up the Suburban, and we'll come to the ATL. My whole inventory is yours. Um, I believe we got a question from Mark Sound Audio Service. What type of battery do they have? I believe lithium ion. The Speaking of batteries, the gentleman that invented the lithium ion battery just created a new battery that lasts longer, um, smaller footprint, and higher capacity. So that's a sidebar. So it'll probably take like 2 or 3 years for those to make it into the lighting market. He said on your budget at the time. In China it is. Yeah, China is cool. But like I said about budget, the most important thing when it comes to uplighting is you wanna come, well, lighting in general. Before you buy your first light, you wanna come up with a plan. My light show looks like this. My lighting business is this. This is the big picture. Then everything you buy, you're building upon. You're working towards that plan. You don't want to go and buy 20 of these, and you just got a whole lot of inventory, but you can't create a decent show. Because the last thing you want to do is have people walking into a venue. You done spent $2,000 on lights, and it's filled with light pollution. Yeah, you want to stay away from light pollution. So, I want to shout out our sponsor real quick. Tonight's show is being brought to you by Wow Event Solutions. Thank you guys for partnering with the Power Jam DJs. We're going to be upgrading events. Wow Event Solutions serving all 50 states. All right, and we're back. All right, we got like 2 more minutes. Actually, like 5 more minutes. I want to devote those to the chat box. So if you got any questions, hit up the chat box. Let's get it in. Yeah, I'm gonna be at the DJ Expo again this year. I'm looking at like a get together in Atlantic City. So any of you good folks want to meet up at the DJ Expo, hit me up on Instagram at Play My Demo, or on Facebook. I'm Jimmy J Rock Reed. Um, we can link up at the expo. And do me a favor, live and have those have the discussion about those topics. Yeah, Mark Sound Audio Services. Yeah, you got to have a plan. Just like you have a lighting plan, you need to have a sound plan as well. And also, with the lighting and your sound system, you want to have a refresh policy. You know, how often do you update your light show? How often do you replace your speakers? You know, how often do you? I know we, as DJs, we get the new controller every time a new controller come out, or a new mixer, the S9, the X9 MK2. You know, we're more prone to replace that stuff faster. But from a lighting technology, man, we started Power Jam DJs 3 years ago with a full light show. 12 months later, all those lights was gone, and we had all new lights. 12 months later, all those lights was gone, and we had all new lights. So right now, our entire lighting inventory is probably, the oldest light is probably 3 months old. The newest light is probably 3 days old. Yeah, but just make sure that whatever you do, you know, if you're not sure about uplighting, team up with another DJ in your area that offer the service. Y'all come up with an agreement. If you're on the East Coast, North Carolina up to New York, Rhode Island, Maine, Delaware, South Carolina, anywhere on the East Coast, well, hell, anywhere in the U.S. for real, you know, Power Jam's DJs will team up with you. Hell, we're in Florida coming up in 3 weeks. So we'll come out, you know, we'll help you out. All right, with that being said, that's my time for tonight. I appreciate y'all tuning in, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Power Jam's DJs, we have the talent and expertise to make your event a success. More than just DJs, exciting music and entertainment with lighting enhancements to create elegant atmosphere and lively dance floors. Trust us to use our array of services to create a fun and memorable experience. Corporate and community events, weddings, and private celebrations, Power Jam's DJs can bring your ideas to life with ambiance. Call today to learn more.